All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So, week 3 kicks off tomorrow night. We got Thursday night football. Panthers taking on the Texans. It should be an interesting matchup. Normally, this would be perceived as a boring matchup because a lot of people don't expect much from these two teams this season. But with the way the season has been so far and the way these primetime games have been, I think this could live up to the hype and at least be a competitive game. Last Thursday night was interesting with Washington and the Giants, so I think this game can live up to the hype. Not to mention, this season has been so crazy. The amount of crazy primetime games and performances have been amazing, so this one could potentially be another one of those. Not to mention, this season is eerily similar to how 2011 was. All the crazy matchups, all the crazy games, unexpected performances. We may be getting another season like that. And if this season continues to build up on what they've done the first 2 weeks, then it's going to be a year to remember. So hopefully Thursday night football can be interesting. I will be live streaming that, so we'll see how that goes. But with week 3 kicking off, I have to give out my predictions. Before that, let's see how I did in week 2. So here it is. Here are my record predictions from last week in my overall record. I did better. I did better than week 1. I expected to do better because week 1 was so chaotic. I don't think anybody could have really predicted how week 1 was going to go because so many matchups where we expected one team to win and they just didn't show up, such as the Packers. But, it was a crazy mess. However, week 2 was a lot more controlled. Teams got more comfortable, and a lot of the matchups we expected a certain team to win, they ended up winning. So it was a lot better for me record-wise. So now I'm sitting at 17-15 on the season. My overall goal is to be over 500 or at least 500 by the end of the season. So first 2 weeks, we're off to a solid start. We'll see what happens with these predictions for week 3. So with that being said, let's get into my week 3 predictions. I'm actually proud of these. I think I could do much better than I did in week 2. So here are my predictions. Thursday night football, we got the Panthers and the Texans. I'm going to take the Panthers. Next up, we got the Chargers and the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Cardinals over the Jags. I think Cleveland's going to get it done against the Bears. I expect the Bills to beat Washington, although I will be rooting for Washington. I expect the Titans to get the job done against the Colts. I expect the Saints to take care of the Pats. They're going to bounce back from whatever that was in week 2 against the Panthers. I think the Giants are going to be able to pull off a victory against the Falcons. Won't be easy, but I think they can get it done. I don't trust the Falcons. Next, we got the Steelers against the Bengals. I'm going to take the Steelers. First AFC North matchup of the season, so we'll see how that goes. We got the Ravens versus the Lions in the trap game. I think the Ravens will not fall for the trap. They will get the job done. Next, we got the Broncos against the Jets. I'm going to take the Broncos. I like the Raiders over the Dolphins, especially with Tua out and the way Derek Carr is playing. The Bucks versus Rams, that one's going to be interesting, but I'm going to take the Bucks there. The Seahawks versus the Vikings, I'm going to pick the Seahawks in that matchup. We got Sunday Night Football where we got the Packers and the Niners. I'm going to take the Niners. And to finish it off on Monday Night Football, we've got an NFC East matchup between the Eagles and the Cowboys, and I am going to take the Cowboys. So, with that being said, let's talk about a couple of these games. There are 4 games I really want to talk about for the most part. First game is Packers-Niners. This was difficult for me to make a decision as to how this game was going to go and who to really pick. The Packers bounced back, managed to take down the Lions, and the Niners struggled against the Eagles. However, I do like the Niners in this matchup. This is my upset of the week. I think the Niners at home can get the job done for 3 reasons. 1, they're at home, and the Niners play significantly better at home as opposed to being on the road. So I expect their home opener to be something special. 2, the Niners defense is healthy, and the last time the Niners defense was healthy, they tormented Rodgers, both on Sunday Night Football, which ironically this is a Sunday Night Football game, and in the NFC Championship game. That was 2 years ago in 2019, so I'm not exactly saying the defense is going to be able to do that. However, they have shown to be able to make Rodgers struggle, and they kind of look like they've had his number over the last couple years, so I think they can get the job done here. And speaking of that, that was actually my main reason. Aaron Rodgers has actually struggled against the Niners. Historically, his record against them is 4-6. 4-6. He does not play his best football when he's going up against the Niners because that defense has always been good enough to be able to make him struggle and force him to make mistakes. So I think it's going to be a night like that for him. I still expect the Packers to compete. I think it's going to be a close game. However, I think the Niners are going to get the job done. I'm going to pick them as my upset of the week. Next up, I have the Seahawks and the Vikings that I want to look at. This game was very tough for me to pick. You know, the Vikings throughout the first 2 weeks, they've lost, but they have looked very impressive. Both their games, they could have won if it wasn't for simple mistakes. And both those games came down to the wire. I thought they could beat the Bengals. I didn't expect them to go into overtime and lose like that. You know, they forced the overtime. I thought they'd be able to get it, but I didn't expect them to lose like that in overtime. And then against the Cardinals, they had a chance to win with a game-winning kick, but they missed it. So they've been right there. A couple mistakes not made by them, and they are 2-0 on the season. So I really like what the Vikings are doing so far. However, the Seahawks, man, the Seahawks. I don't like to bet against the Seahawks to start the season because Russell Wilson always starts the season on fire. And again, last week against the Titans, he was doing his thing. Unfortunately, the team as a whole choked, but it is what it is. He was still doing his thing. And when I look at both these two teams, especially on their defense, I don't have to see an advantage for either defense. Both defenses I have concerns with, especially when it comes to their secondary. Offensively, sometimes their offense is hot, sometimes it's cold. It just depends. So it really came down to the matchup of which quarterback do I trust more, Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins. I couldn't bring myself to pick Kirk Cousins, so I had to go with Russell Wilson. Therefore, I had to pick the Seahawks. I think it's going to be another close game for the Vikings. Hopefully, they can pull it off because you don't want yet another heartbreaking loss to go 0-3 on the season. But yeah, I got to take the Seahawks in that. Third game I want to talk about, Chargers-Chiefs. I think this is going to be a very close game. Chargers managed to blow a game against the Cowboys. That is not a game they should have lost. They lost 14 points due to penalties. They should have won that game. However, mistakes cost them. I don't think they'll be making those type of mistakes against the Chiefs because they know what the Chiefs represent. Not to mention, man, that Chiefs have actually they've actually somewhat struggled against the Chargers. Of course, they've beaten them, but the Chargers have been, you know, a very, very tough team for the Chiefs to beat. Obviously, when it comes to divisional matchups, you never know how it's going to go. And the Chargers have actually been able to play well against the Chiefs. But the Chiefs have always come out on top. So I'm still going to stick with the Chiefs. However, I think this is going to be a tough matchup. The Chiefs are looking to bounce back from a loss they suffered against my Ravens on Sunday Night Football. So this will be a good way for them to be able to pull it off. Getting a divisional win early on should definitely help with that. So I'm going to take the Chiefs on that one. I'm going to stick with that pick. And last but not least, the one I want to talk about the most, Bucs-Rams. No question, this is the game of the week. The Bucs and the Rams, through the first 2 weeks of the season, they have looked like the two best teams in the NFC. One can argue they're the two best teams in the NFL, but I'm not going to go that far because you look at the Rams, they haven't faced a lot of tough competition, you know, taking on the Bears and then taking on a desperate Colt team. People look at that and say you haven't faced off against the toughest competition. Meanwhile, you look at the Bucs, they took on a Cowboys team, which, depending on how the season goes, that may not look great down the stretch. And then you took on the Falcons. The Falcons are not a great team. So both these teams have not played up against great competition, but they've won. And they've looked nice. And in some cases, they've looked dominant. So I like what I'm seeing from the Rams. I like what I'm seeing from the Bucs. And I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. This will be a true test to see who deserves to be the best team in the NFC. So whoever wins this matchup should be declared the best team in the NFC, at least up until this point in the season. And I think the Bucs are going to be the one to get that done. Yeah, they're on the road. Yeah, the Rams are tough. Yeah, that defense is legit. Yeah, Matthew Stafford is killing it to start off the season. But the same can be said for the Bucs, because that defense for the Bucs is tough. Not the secondary, but the defense for that Bucs is tough. They got so much talent on offense. They're killing it. And of course, Tom Brady is playing at such a high level. We haven't really seen him play like this before. Well, it's the first time in his career that he's thrown 9 touchdown passes to start off the season within the first 2 games. I mean, he's on fire. He's got talent all around him, and he's making it look easy. So I think the Bucs can get this done. That is my game of the week, and I'm taking the Bucs. Can't wait to see what happens with that game. And with that being said, that will conclude my week 3 picks. I'm interested to see how this is going to go. I like my picks. I think I could probably get a better record. I think I can get 12. Let's go for 12-4 here. I think we can get 12-4 with these picks. Continue the momentum, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, that is all I got for this one. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.